Hello friends, welcome to our channel Cbse English, the Topper's Choice. In today's video, we are going to discuss class 10th second poem from the book First Flight, Fire and Ice. At the beginning, we'll discuss about the poet of this poem. The poet of this poem is Robert Frost. Robert Frost was born on 26th March 1874 and died on 29th January 1963. He was an American poet and was born in San Francisco, California. His work was initially published in England before it was published in the United States. Known for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech, Frost frequently wrote about settings from rural life in New England in the early 20th century, using them to examine complex social and philosophical themes. Frost was honored frequently during his lifetime and is the only poet to receive 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. He became one of America's rare public literary figures, almost an artistic institution. He was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 1960 for his poetic works. On July 22, 1961, Frost was named Poet Laureate of Vermont. Theme of this poem: Fire and Ice, a poem of only 9 short lines, is written about destruction, about the inevitable demise that hatred and obsession will bring. In the first line of the poem, Frost indicates the end or demise and the 2 ways in which it can happen: fire or ice. The world, as it's intended in this poem, does not refer to the earth, but the life one lives. Essentially, fire and ice refer to obsession, that is desire, and hatred respectively. Introduction to this poem. Fire and Ice is a popular poem by Robert Frost that discusses the end of the world, likening the elemental force of fire with the emotion of desire and ice with hate. Published in December 1920 in Harper's Magazine and in 1923 in his Pulitzer Prize-winning book New Hampshire, Fire and Ice is one of Frost's best known and most anthologized poems. The poem Fire and Ice expresses the profound idea that the world would end in either of 2 ways, either by fire or ice. Both the components are compared with self-destructing human emotions, desire and hatred. The poem very artistically highlights the philosophy that we let our emotions rule us, and if don't control them, they will surely destroy everything around us. Similarly, he thinks fire and ice both are just as competent in bringing the world to a catastrophic end. Summary of this poem. In this poem, Fire and Ice, the poet expresses the 2 ways in which the world may end. Some people say that the world will end by fire, while others say that it will end by ice. The poet says that he is aware about the fiery desires of human emotions. So, he will favor those who say that fire will end the world. Then the poet rethinks again and imagines, if the world has to die twice, then ice has the capability similar to fire to destroy the whole world. The poet compares fire and ice with the self-destructive nature of human beings. According to the poet, fire stands for desire, greed, and lust. There is no end to such emotions. The more humans try to fulfill them, the more rapidly these emotions spread, similar to fire. These feelings often engulf human life and they get trapped in them. As a result, people become egotist, selfish, and cruel. On the other hand, the poet describes ice as the rigid, rough, and hateful side of human emotions. People become harsh and do not care about the emotions and feelings of others. They are indifferent to others' happiness and sorrow. Thus, the poet says that since fire and ice both are growing with such rapid speed, the world will end soon, either by fire or by ice. The poem conveys a beautiful message that human emotions rule over them. If humans don't control their emotions, they will ruin their life and bring it to the verge of chaos. Now we'll discuss the literary devices used in this poem. Rhyming scheme of the poem. The rhyming scheme of the poem is AB, AA, BC, BC, B. Number 2. Assonance. This figure of speech is used. Assonance is repetition of vowel sounds in same line. The repetition is at different places in different words. See, for example, in this poem, in this line, assonance, this figure of speech, is used. The long sound of O in I hold with those who favor fire. Number 3. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound at the start of two or more closely placed words. It is used in this poem in these lines. The sound of f in favor fire and sound of v in world will. Number 4. Imagery. Imagery is used to make readers perceive things involving their 5 senses. For example, in these lines of the poem, imagery has been used. Some say the world will end in fire. To say that for destruction, ice is also great. Number 5. Anaphora. The repetition of a word or expression at the start of two or more consecutive lines. This has been used in these lines of the poem. Some say is repeated at the beginning of first and second line. Personification. Personification is to give human qualities to inanimate objects. In this poem, fire and ice are capable of destruction. Thus, the poet personifies fire and ice by giving them mind and power to destroy anything. Number 7. Enjambment. It is defined as the thought or clause that does not come to an end at a line break. Rather, it moves over to the next line. For example, it is used in the following lines of the poem. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. Now we'll discuss main points of the poem. The poet feels that this world of ours will come to an end. He is not very clear when the end will come. He comes to this conclusion on the basis of what people say on this subject. He seems to show his agreement at what people say regarding the ending of the world. On the basis of what people think, the poet believes that this world will come to an end by the two highly contrasting but powerful elements of nature, fire and ice. Either fire or ice or both will be the cause of the ending of the world. Then the poet links these two powerful natural elements to human beings and their emotions. In the first stanza, the poet shows his agreement with those who believe that fire will cause the end of the world. He links the element of fire to the human emotion of desire or passion. The uncontrolled fire of passion and desire may lead us to the end of this world. Then the poet comes to the second alternative that can cause the end of this world. It is the ice, which can also cause the end of the world. In terms of human emotion, ice means hate created by cold reasoning. Cool and calculated icy reasoning can lead to hate and can be the cause of the end of this world. The poet himself has experienced both these primal emotions of love as well as hate, fire as well as ice, passions as well as cold reason. He has experienced enough of hate which is born out of icy cold reasoning. In the end, Frost agrees that it doesn't matter whether it is fire or ice. Both can cause the end of the world. Ice or hate born out of cold reasoning is quite sufficient for causing the end of the world. So dear friends, if you have liked this video, please click on like, subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon to get more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching.